You're not going to get a high score in Task 2 by just writing in whatever style you want. IELTS expects you to follow an academic writing format. In this lesson, I will be showing you exactly how to do that. You will learn 3 simple structures that you can apply to absolutely any Writing Task 2 question. After we look at the structures, we will look at sample answers to make sure you know exactly how to use each of these. My name is Lara Ryan. I've been an IELTS examiner, I've been an IELTS teacher at the British Council, I have over a decade of experience helping IELTS students, and I am the founder of Complete Test Success. In my previous lesson, I showed you how to determine how many main ideas you will need for each Task 2 question, and this lesson is building on top of that. If you haven't already completed that lesson, I would recommend that you do that soon, and I'll leave a link in the description for you as well. Now, before we look at the actual structures themselves, you will need to know what the various types of paragraphs are in a Task 2 essay. The introduction paragraph is the first paragraph of every single IELTS Task 2 essay. And the purpose of this paragraph is to tell the reader exactly what the essay is about. In the first sentence, you'll need to paraphrase the question. To paraphrase the question simply means that you will rewrite it in your own words. Now, ideally, you'll be able to use completely different words, but if you do need to use some of the words from the question, that's okay. Next, you may need to include your opinion. If the question asks, do you agree or disagree, you'll need to answer that. However, a lot of questions don't require your opinion, so only include it if you've been asked for it. In the final part of every introduction, you'll say what your main ideas are. These are ideas that you generated by yourself and not the ideas you found in the question. The next lesson I'm making is going to focus on idea generation, so click subscribe and the bell icon to make sure you don't miss that important lesson. The next type of paragraph is the body paragraph. This is where you will discuss the main ideas that you already mentioned in the introduction. The first sentence will mention which main idea you're about to discuss. If it's possible for you to write this with different words, that's great, but the most important thing is that you're clearly communicating which main idea. So don't worry too much if you need to use the same words as you already used in the introduction. For the rest of the paragraph, you just need to develop that main idea with explanations and/or examples. IELTS doesn't really care if you use explanations or if you use examples as long as they're relevant. Sometimes you'll use a mixture of both and sometimes it will just be one or the other. It really just depends on which structure you're following and how much development is required. And the final paragraph of every Task 2 essay will be the conclusion. In this paragraph, you're just going to summarize what you've already said in your essay. In particular, all of the information from the introduction should be included yet again in this paragraph. A lot of IELTS students feel that the amount of repetition in a Task 2 essay is a bit ridiculous, and to be honest, I kind of see where they're coming from. You need to mention all of your main ideas 3 times in your essay, and it's only 250 words long. However, that is just the format of academic writing in English. Of course, an academic essay in a university wouldn't seem as repetitive because it's going to be much longer. But a Task 2 essay is just a condensed version of this, so really the ideas do appear quite frequently. So now that you understand what each paragraph looks like, we will move on to the essay structures, starting with the one designed for 2 main ideas. As always, the first paragraph will be the introduction, and we will include the 2 main ideas we've already generated in here. Next is the first body paragraph, and I would advise you to discuss the first main idea that you mentioned in the introduction in this paragraph. If your introduction mentions main idea A and main idea B, it's not logical to discuss main idea B in this paragraph. The next paragraph is the second body paragraph, and that's the exact same thing with this second main idea. And of course, we finish up with the conclusion. And that's the first structure, very simple, and really following this is going to give you a good boost in your coherence and cohesion score. Next is the structure for 3 main ideas, and that's essentially the same thing, except that we're going to add an extra body paragraph for that extra main idea. So yet again, you will start with the introduction, but you're going to include the 3 main ideas this time. Next is the first body paragraph, and as I said previously, it's most logical to include the first main idea that you mentioned in the introduction in this one. Just like before, we'll have a separate body paragraph for the second main idea, and a third body paragraph for the third main idea. And finally, you just summarize everything again in the conclusion. And the last structure is for when we need 4 main ideas. In a lot of ways, it would make most sense to just add a fourth body paragraph for the fourth idea, but that's actually not the best approach. In academic writing, having a short paragraph with just 2 sentences would not be considered enough development to call that a body paragraph. So this time we're going to include 2 body paragraphs again rather than 3 or 4, and we're going to include 2 main ideas in the first one and 2 main ideas in the second one. As always, we will start with the introduction and make sure to include all of our main ideas here. I've actually never seen a question that requires 4 main ideas and your opinion, but I'll just leave that in here in case. Now, in a question that requires 4 main ideas, you'll need to include something like 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages. So in the first body paragraph, you'll mention the first advantage and develop that a small bit. Just a small amount of development will do, as there are too many ideas in this essay for a lot of development. After that, you'll mention the second advantage and then develop that a small bit as well. The next body paragraph will be the exact same, but with the 2 disadvantages this time. And as you've probably gathered by now, we will finish the essay with the conclusion. If you'd like to download a PDF of those structures, you can head over to my website now and sign up for my newsletter. I'll include a link for that in the video description as well. So now that you know how to structure an essay for absolutely any Task 2 question, we will look at some sample answers that follow these structures. So here's a question that requires 2 main ideas in our answer. It says, some people believe that planting trees in towns and cities is more beneficial than building additional houses. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So for this, we just need to say if we completely agree or we completely disagree, and then support that opinion with 2 main ideas. I've actually written an answer using the structure for 2 main ideas already. However, to help us focus on exactly where the different parts of the essay belong, I'm going to just blur out the words for now. Whenever you're writing a Task 2 essay, of course, you'll need to start by writing the first sentence first, but we're not going to go through each sentence one at a time. For this lesson, it's better to just focus on one component of the essay, one after another. And the first component we will look at is the first main idea. Now, I'm going to indicate where the first main idea belongs by changing the text to a red colour. Here is where it should go in the introduction. Then it must be repeated in the first sentence of the first body paragraph and once more in the conclusion. Next, we will look at where the second main idea belongs, and I'll show you these in blue. So first of all, it belongs here in the introduction, at the start of the second body paragraph, and again in the conclusion. Of course, each of the main body paragraphs will need to be completed with explanations and/or examples. I've marked this in green here in the first body paragraph, and all of this will be related to the first main idea in red, and then again in the second body paragraph, but of course all of these explanations and examples are about the second main idea. The only part of the essay that we haven't looked at yet is the very first sentence, which is the paraphrase of the question, and I'll make that orange. So here is the full essay with all the various parts color-coded. I don't think it would be a good use of your time if I read this out right now. So please pause the video if you'd like to read that essay yourself. So next we're going to look at the structure required for 3 main ideas, and if you'll remember, this is the one with 5 paragraphs. This is the question that we'll use for this part of the lesson. It says, many parents work long hours in stressful jobs so that they can provide a good standard of living for their children. Does this development have more advantages or more disadvantages? And this is a question that requires 3 main ideas in our answer. And here is an essay I've written with the structure for 3 main ideas, and once again, I'll blur it out to let us just focus completely on where everything should go in the essay first. Again, I've marked the first main idea in red, the second main idea in blue, and the third main idea also needs to go in the introduction. It has its own body paragraph, and then it's mentioned again in the conclusion. You can see these in pink. In green, you can see the development for each of the main ideas, and I've marked the paraphrase in orange once more. And that is the structure of any essay that requires 3 main ideas. Again, you can pause the video if you'd like to read this essay. And that brings us to the last of the essay structures for those rare occasions when we are required to put 4 main ideas in our essay. Here is a question that requires us to use this final structure. As technology continues to improve, it replaces an increasing number of jobs that used to be done manually, such as car assembly and bank transactions. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this question. So, just like the previous 2 times, I'll blur out the essay first. And again, I've put the first main idea in red. And this time, you'll see that the second main idea in blue is actually in the same body paragraph as the first main idea. As we were asked to discuss advantages and disadvantages, both of these ideas will be the advantages that we've generated, and then the third and fourth main ideas will be the disadvantages. Here is the third main idea in pink, and the fourth main idea has been changed to a purple font. Again, these both appear in the introduction, the second body paragraph, and the conclusion. As there are so many main ideas this time, there will really only be room for about 1 sentence of development for each of the main ideas. And then, of course, the first sentence is the paraphrase. And this is what an essay that has used the final structure will look like. So that's it. 3 simple essay structures that will allow you to respond appropriately to absolutely any Task 2 question. Besides any language errors that you might make, these structures are going to give you the best possible coherence and cohesion score. Please click like so that other students can find this lesson as well, and just let me know in the comments if you think that these essay structures are as simple as I think they are.